time on the rancho when it is harvest time. And if you didn't see yesterday, we harvested about 30 pounds of elephant heart Japanese plums. Absolutely delicious. But you're not here to see that. Today we're going to be harvesting the rest of the tomatoes, and I did plant like 12 vines this year. I got a little aggressive. I didn't plant the San Marzano or the Roma variety, the San Marzano. I planted the regular genetically modified, whatever you want to call them, which is fine by me. Still produces a beautiful product here. Yeah, it has a little more juice than the meaty Romas, but it does well for canning. So I'm going to go ahead and harvest the rest of the tomatoes that we're going to be processing today. It's going to kind of be messy in the early part. We're going to be out here grinding up our squeezing the seeds out. We're going to wash them first. We're going to squeeze the seeds out, put them into the food processor, and then get it all into a big pot. And we're going to make one great red sauce, and I'm going to give you a few tips to deepen that sauce flavor so it is fantastico on your dishes. If you're not subscribed, I invite you to take a minute, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. There's always something going on here in the rancho. We always have projects, always something to be done, usually something being harvested, citrus or plums or cherries or peaches or apples or persimmons. Also do a lot of vintage audio restoration work, as well as metal detecting and travels and adventures. Be a part of it well into the 12th year here on YouTube. Having said that, sitting in Kitchen Stadium here, where we also do a lot of demonstration cooking, it's time to set up and get going. Let's make a great red sauce. Got this whole big moonshine bucket. Pot that we used to use for making some of our bourbon here on the rancho years ago, but that is a beautiful bunch of tomatoes. That's a good probably 20 pounds we're going to be canning. The next thing we want to do is we want to take these inside and give all of these tomatoes a really good rinse. Just to give you a better idea visually, this is a whole huge wok filled up with tomatoes. They've all been rinsed, and then we have our pot we're going to be doing our cooking in today. So the next thing I want to do is start prepping these one at a time. I'm going to get my cutting board out. I'm going to cut out the top part and then slice it hemispherically around the middle and squeeze out the seeds from both sides. And I'm going to put them into this pot. I might have another pot or something to put them in, because then I'm going to put them into the food. I'll probably put them into the food processor bit by bit and then pour the processed tomatoes in there. So I'm trying to squeeze all the seeds out. Also, the skin will be ground up. It's not even going to be consequential. It's so finely pulverized. So let me get set up and let's get to it. Rancho Kitchen Stadium. This is always the messiest part of the process, but it's going to unfold in stages. We have the tomatoes here. They're going to hit the cutting board. We're going to cut out the stem part, cut it in half. We're going to squeeze it into our pot here. We're going to save that. Don't throw away that tomato juice and with the seeds that come out. We're going to save that here, and in a separate video I'm going to show you how to make a great, spicy, tasty homemade tomato soup. Okay, so you got that to look forward to. Then once it's squeezed out into our food processor, it goes. When we have enough in here, we'll go ahead and pulse it, and then it'll go into our big pot. Did you get all that? Basically, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut out our end stem here, just like so, and then we're going to cut this in half. Beautiful. And then we're going to squeeze out over here, get all the seeds and things out that we can, and the juice. We're trying to get to all the firm meat of the tomato just like so, and then right into our food processor. Okay, roll up your sleeves. We have a couple hundred tomatoes to do here. Okay, don't forget to save that juice. It makes a great tomato soup. Trust and believe. So the other thing is, when you're doing home canning and things like that, you have to absolutely be patient. Okay, this should be fun. And I know if you do it enough times, it becomes a chore. But somebody that has a homestead like this, we're not doing this every day. What are we, ConAgra Foods or Hunt and Del Monte? No, we're just out here having a good time, demonstrating how to make a really good red sauce, how to make a good soup, picking plums, peaches, everything else on here. We'll see you in a little while after we get a little further along. We'll be grinding our first bit here. We're ready to pulse our first bit here. And of course you can vary as you want, if you want it very thick and chunky, or like a puree. I prefer a puree, so we're going to dump this into here and start building up our levels, okay? Well, here's where we stand here. That is all the puree in here. We have all the seeds and strain that. Remember, don't throw that away. That's going to make a great tomato soup. So I'm doing a little more clean up here, and then we're going to start hitting the fire there, hitting the stove, and making our red sauce. And we're also going to get out the big pot for canning, for water bath canning here. Okay. You'll also see in here I've already gone ahead and cleaned up the food processor, but right here all of our glassware has already been run through, so it's super sterile, and that's exactly what you need. Also, use new lids every time you're doing canning. Next thing we want to do is start preparing our base for the salt. What that means is the garlic. We want to, you're going to use the big wok. I love using a wok. It's so convenient. You use a lot less fuel when you use a wok. Wok is very efficiently designed. We're going to put some EVOO in for 5 tablespoons. We're going to cut up our onions here and put about half of this, maybe 3/4 of this bottle of garlic in here. And bring that up to temperature. We're going to add our pepper here. We're going to add about 4 tablespoons of pepper, about 4 tablespoons of salt, and we're also going to add about say 1 cup of Italian seasoning here for really good spice. We're also going to add some red wine vinegar. I peeled the onions. I'm just going to be rough chopping them. We're trying to make like a chunky sauce here, not a super refined pureed sauce. So I'm just cutting these in half and laying the flat side down. And then I'm going to come back and get these all lined up. Plenty of onions in this sauce. Gives it a lot of great flavor. Then I'm just going to come back and chop this way. Super nice and chunky, and an easy way to do it. Just like that, okay? Right into our, I haven't turned the heat on yet. So right on in. We're going to grab our garlic here. going to put about half of this. And remember, you're making a lot here, a lot of sauce. So in she goes. We're going to fire the heat to this. We're going to clean this up a little bit and get the rest of our spices and get them ready to go. Once we have our base made, then we're going to go ahead and put the heat to our sauce, add that in, bring it all up, add some water. We're going to get our tomato paste and our sauce too, and also our red wine vinegar. We want a really punchy sauce. We're also going to hit this with a little bit, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper too. People won't really notice it, but they'll notice they have a little nice tingle when they're at this. We'd like a sauce with some bang to it. So there is our spice complement today. We got the red wine vinegar, the ground black pepper, Italian seasoning, which combines all the oregano, basil, etc. We got a little cayenne. We got the salt, and of course we have the onions and garlic. So let me get my wooden spoon. Let's put some fire in the hole here. These sweated out really good till they're translucent. Then we're going to add a lot of our spices right in here. We're going to go light on the spicing because we can always add, but we can't take it away. That's looking really nice and pretty translucent now. We don't want to overdo it. We're going to turn the heat low now. Now it's time to add our spices, and I know this often drives people crazy because I'm not really one to precise quantities and measures, but I do know I want a full cup of the Italian seasoning, and because I put it into the heat with the onion, that's going to help it release a lot of its flavor right from the beginning and hit the onions and the garlic there, okay? So I'm going to stir that in. That already smells good right off the bat. Remember, you can always add, but you really can't take away, okay? You can always add it. I'm going to add a little bit more EVOO. Let me grab that. And that also helps combine everything all together. Another 2 tablespoons or so of that. Okay. Work that all together. It already smells fantastic, right? Next we're going to add about 3 tablespoons of salt here. We can always add salt later. Remember, we're making a big quantity of sauce here, so it might seem like a lot if you're just doing one dish. At this point, I'm going to add, this should be nice and fresh here, pepper. I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of pepper. Remember, we're making a real big pot here. Mix that together. Here's where we're going to add about a 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar here. This is kind of our secret ingredient for really bringing it all together, okay? And I'm just going to grab a slight bit here, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and that's it. Just to give a little tingler, but ooh, this is really interesting. Okay, so we're going to bring that all together now. what that heat does is it releases those spices really in what I call a major way here. Get all of those bits off the side, all of that citrus flavor. Don't be afraid to use the oil.
What are you making, Remy?
I'm making red sauce, pasta sauce from that homegrown tomatoes.
Oh, yeah?
All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and add this. Make sure you get all the bits in there. You don't want to miss any of those bits is flavor. Right. Cooking color is flavor. All right. Perfect. Sit that on the side. And give this a big stir. Next, we're going to go get our tomato paste and our tomato sauce. The tomato paste gives an intensity to the sauce. It makes it fantastic. It's adding depth to it, so you're just not tasting tomatoes. You're tasting intensified tomato flavor. And the sauce just smooths it out some. Okay? I'll give you a look inside. Don't worry. Here's a look inside. You know, you can add ground beef, you can add and make sure it's cooked, you can add Italian sausage, peppers, mushrooms, whatever you like to add. Okay, I'm going to go grab all the extras we need here, the sauce and the tomato paste. Okay, we have about 3 gallons of tomatoes here. So I'm going to use 3 big cans of 15-ounce tomato sauce and 5 of the little cans of tomato paste. These are like 6 ounces each. I like it a very intense flavor, and then all we have to do is finish up with adding a couple, 2, 3, 4 cups of water, and we're going to commence to bringing all this to a simmer. I decided to back the tomato paste off to about 4 cans. We can always add one if we need more intensity. So here goes our tomato sauce. 3 cans of that. It's nice. Costco gives you the kind that has a little top for easy opening on it. 2. Here's our 3rd one. I got 3 different kinds of sauce here. Oh well, the best way to get the tomato paste out is to run your knife backwards here, just like so, and then come through. It just does a perfect job. Flat part of your knife in the back, pull it right through. Perfect way to do it. No fuss, no muss. Nice and clean, very rapid. It beats, for me, it beats dealing with a spoon. Trying to get all that out with the spoon, okay? Gets that very clean. We're in. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It is firing the whole time. We're gonna add probably 4 cups of water, 4 to 5 cups of water too here, and then start getting this, bringing this up to temperature. Okay, up to a boil. I'm starting to really get excited here. Okay, I'm gonna start with 3 cups of water there. Okay, time to throw the heat to it. Now it's just a waiting game, and we'll talk about our pot for canning, where we're gonna put our finished product to make sure that it's safe. We also have to add some little bit of citric acid to it and some other things to make it very safe. We'll talk about that later. There's a few tricks. Like a thick sauce. Big pot pot set up inside. This is the big canning pot here, and these, I think this will hold about 7 or 8 pints. And once this comes up to a boil, we put our packed tomatoes. I got my jars all clean and everything. We put them in here, and they're gonna be in the boil bath for a full 40 minutes to make them safe. In addition, to raise the acidity content, you can use vinegar or lemon juice. I have citric acid here, which is available at stores that make beer and things like that, and I'm gonna put 1/4 of a teaspoon, just a tiny amount, in each of these jars before I fill them, and that is going to raise the acidity and make it safe for canning. Okay, you have to be very, very careful with things like tomatoes. Oh, and that sauce coming along really good. We want to make sure we produce a sauce that's not going to break when you put it over pasta or something. It doesn't separate into water and become all runny, so that requires a lot of patience to have things cooked down a lot. By the way, if you weren't here yesterday, harvested 35 pounds of elephant heart plums, which are absolutely delicious. Check out the video. The link is in the description box. I think you will enjoy the harvest. So we've got some time on the stove here. I'm going to back the heat off a little bit. We don't want to boil it, we just want to simmer it. Okay. So I'm going to take that down low. Really coming along good. You can see the level. We've had a lot of evaporation here. The sauce is really starting to get thick and bubbly. Be very careful when you're doing this. Make sure to wear an oven mitt if you're susceptible to burns and things. And canning is always kind of inherently dangerous anyway, but I've had worse ways to spend an afternoon here on the rancho, that's for sure. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit the bell for all notifications. There's so much more to this channel than just doing some righteous canning. Checking inside too. I just have a low flame on our big sterilizing pot here. I'm going to turn that down a little bit lower. When that's done outside, I'm going to sit the big pot here. You see down inside I have 1/4 of a teaspoon of citric acid. It's going to make this very safe, and then when we fill the jars, we're going to wipe around the edges and wipe the top of it with some white vinegar here, so we get a really good seal, so we can just have this stuff shelf stable. And then we'll talk about some other things when we get closer to finishing up. But thanks for being with me. Go ahead and let's give this a good stir. It's really getting thick now. We're gonna put a spoon on a plate and see if that breaks and becomes watery or not. Okay, we don't want a sauce that breaks too much. We want a sauce that's going to stick to the pasta. And this one is okay, but it needs a little bit more time. You can see the outside ring there. When it's exposed to hot pasta too, that'll accelerate and cause more. It'll be more watery, so just be patient. You can tell by the bigger bubbles coming up now that it's getting thicker. So don't rush the process. Look at how thick that is. You can tell in the middle now that that is really thick. So it's time to can it up. I've done all the testing here for it. I think this is an outstanding, and it's got great taste too. So let me get set up inside. I'm going to carry this inside, and we're going to start our canning process. We got our lids are all sterile and ready to go. We got this has been cleaned out good for scooping. So let's go ahead. I also have my filler here. Let's go ahead. I also have my vinegar ready to go for wiping to close all of these. We'll do this one. Let me just shift this over so you can see over here a little bit. There we go. Start back here. And we're going to leave about 1/2 inch of head space in each one of these, okay? looking good. We're just going to go right down the line. Easy peasy, nice and neat. That one we're going to have to take out a little bit on that one. Let me get a spoon real quick. We definitely want to keep that half an inch of headspace in there, okay? And I've got the pot boiling for the water that's coming up to a boil. Alright, this is the fun part of the whole process, right? Plenty of sauce. What a great year for tomatoes it was on the Rancho this year. We got a little bit more in there. Respect the headspace. Alright. I'll have to get that one last. It's a bad angle for filling. This one we already did. This sauce tastes, I haven't talked a lot about it, but I'm so used to making red sauce. This is just super tasty. All right. Easy recipe too. You don't have to be a gourmet to put a nice sauce together. Sometimes basic sauces are better anyway. Sometimes people cook and they get a little over ambitious. I remember a friend of mine were at a restaurant in downtown Las Vegas, and they had tater tots on the menu to go with whatever it is. You thought, oh, this is cool. I don't see tater tots. They did the craziest, kookiest tater tots. They weren't even edible. It's like a young chef thought, I'm going to make my mark in the world. And I'm going to make tater tots like nobody's business. Like, really? It's like, sometimes you just don't want to mess with a classic, right? But that's sometimes people get a little overeager when they get out of chef school. Right? I'm going to make my mark. In this beautiful looking sauce here. Just a bit. We're going to have some that's going to be like immediate use here, so this is about all we're going to be canning. Notice I've maintained the headspace on each of these, and I put the citrus in the bottoms. That way as it fills up, the citrus immediately melts the crystals, and that's what I want. Exactly what I want. Last way here. Man, that's good. I could just live on a good red sauce. I don't know about you guys. Okay, there we go. We're going to leave the rest for just refrigerated. Okay. Now we want to carefully make sure we're all topped up here. Right. Making sure on all of these that we have no more than half an inch of headspace here. This stuff is really hot, so be very careful. Okay, that looks good. We're going to go ahead now and get a paper towel. And we're going to open our vinegar, and we're going to wipe these down, and we're going to add our tops one at a time. These have all been nice and clean and sterile and ready to go. So one at a time, I'm going to wipe around the outside and catch the upper edge, and then I'm going to drop a lid on like that. Just put a ring on loosely for right now. I'll come back and tighten it a little bit. On to the next one. And this just ensures that they're really a very clean seal when they go on top. So always make sure you're white, because you want the very best seal that you can get. And white vinegar is a good Good thing to clean up. Be careful, it's hot. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Alright guys, we have done it up. Now it's time to go ahead. We're going to put the flame to it here. And each of these are going to go for 40 minutes each. Okay? Be very careful sitting these in the water. Okay, always work carefully. I've had a few break on me before, so I think, yeah, don't do what I just did and hit stuff. Okay? And the rest of the sauce I have left, I'm going to use that for, set that up for like immediate use. So I'm dropping these in. Not dropping them, but carefully sitting them. I can get quite a few. I think it's going to take 2 batches to get this through. I have the lids tight, but not super tight, okay? Look at me telling you guys to be careful. I'm bashing stuff all over the place here. And I think I might, I don't know, am I going to be able to get one more in? No, we're not going to, there's no point rushing it, okay? I'll give you a look. We got that coming up to a boil. See how nicely these look. They're canned and then over here. So we're gonna go till about yeah, I'm just checking my time here. Sure we go the full 40 minutes, okay? And this will make it super safe and super sterile. Meantime, I'm going to get the rest of the sauce packed up and refrigerated here. Okay? You can tell how nice and thick that sauce is. No runny stuff for me. So we're about 10 minutes in. Make sure this gets to, we really should wait till it gets to a full boil before we start the countdown. "40 minutes from now." Got 10 minutes to go for the first batch. We have to figure out a program so we don't get it confused with the ones that haven't gone in yet. The ones that haven't gone in, I'm going to move to the front here. So, looking good. 10 minutes to go. Guys, the first batch is done. We want to be very, 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 very careful, okay? And don't squeeze too hard. Just get a good, always make sure you're using something like this. This is, I think this is made by Ball and is specifically made. It has some rubber padding here so you're not going to probably break the jars, all right? Just get a good grip on it. Grab it and bring it out. Now these are going to sit for 24 hours with the rings on them. Now eventually the rings are going to be removed. Why would we do that? Well, if you store an item with the rings on, you're at risk of not noticing that one of your jars is contaminated because the ring is preventing you from visually seeing that it's trying to pop up. So that's why you want to store your items. Although it doesn't have a lot of eye appeal, you can give it as a gift and pop a ring on it, but you definitely want to make sure you store it without the ring on it, okay? Especially when you're talking about canning things like tomatoes and things like that, that you could be susceptible to botulism and not even really know the risk that you're taking, okay? So we always want to make sure. You'll hear a lot of these popping going on too. And that's a really good sign that we're getting a super good seal here. You hear all that pinging and panging. That's a good thing. Try not to hit the side like I did. So we're going to put our second load in. These are going to cool down. I've kept some spacing. Yeah, you hear them binging banging there. Now this water is already close to boil. So we're going to do these for 40 minutes and we're going to be done. But don't forget about storing your jars. You want to be able to visually see if you've had a problem with the sealing or not. You're not going to be able to do that if you have a ring on it, okay? So bear that in mind. Safety first at all times, all right? I'm liking the way that these look. They're all getting super seals on. They're all sterilized and safe for shelf storage as opposed to refrigeration, okay? But we'll always be careful when we open one. Give it a good visual inspection and always make sure you hear it when you open it up, okay? You want to make sure it definitely has that vacuum seal. See you in 40 minutes, we're going to wrap it up. Light at the end of the tunnel. We just finished the last batch, 40 minutes on the boil here. So let's go ahead and remove these. This is, I don't know, this is the exciting part of the process. Looking at the finished products. Because, you know, I have red sauce, which I love, for basically a year here. So, you know, we use one every other, you know, this once in a while. I don't know, it's nice to have it. If you were here before also, and I'll put the link in, we canned peaches too, 27 pints of homegrown peaches. Check that out. I'll put that video in the description box too, okay? So there's two that you want to check out. It's exciting to always be canning your own products. Nothing's cheap in the stores anymore, and I just had popped down 10 tomato plants. Set up a nice watering system here on the rancho, what I call homesteading in the hood, because I live in the middle of the hood here in Santa Rosa. It's the last little bit of an oasis here in an urban jungle, but it's where I call home. So I'm going to give you guys a last look, but before I do, I want to thank you for being here today and canning with me. Let's see, we got 4, what do we got? 4, 8, 10, 12, we got about, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pints here, which is a pretty good amount. We may have some more to can because, well, the harvest isn't over. 10 tomato plants kicks out a lot of stuff, but ain't that a thing of beauty there? All canned up, beautiful sauce ready to go. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, could I ask you to please do so? Leave me a nice comment down in the comment section. If you have any questions, comments, critiques, you want to yell at me, you want to yell at me with words there, feel free to go ahead. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, this is homesteading and fun in the hood. Everything from vintage audio to metal detecting to cool projects. We want to do a solar cooker and all kinds of things coming up, and we're trying to do more and more sustainable and taking care of ourselves here without having to depend on this gruesome world out there. So all right guys, I'm gonna go, but thank you very much, and thanks again for watching and being with me today. Loved having you here. Thank you.